Good morning, you guys. Oh my goodness. It's been crazy. My parents came down from Miami and my aunt is visiting from Gloucester, Mass. And she's so much fun. It is really hard to do my YouTubes because I focus so much time on my Patreon. So anyway, I'm back. And the patrons were like, get back to work, Dana. You need to get back on YouTube. So here I am. A day late and $1 short. I don't know, is that the saying? I don't know. Oh, by the way, you guys, I'll be making my donation to Grayson's GoFundMe page tomorrow. I should have the money in from YouTube. They usually take 24 hours and I get paid on the 21st. So for that video, I will make that donation and I will talk about it tomorrow. It probably won't be a lot because I make like $30 a video, but some of you guys gave extra donations I noticed on that video. So I will include those and plus a little extra from me. So hopefully it'll be like a little bit for her, like maybe a few $100. We'll see. We'll see. I'm hoping. You never know with YouTube, I swear. Have you heard people do videos where they have like 1 million views and they like sometimes they make $3,000? I mean, that's like really cheap for that many views, but whatever. I guess that's the nature of the beast. Today, I wanted to do a quick video about the blog entries that Jen Shah has been doing on her website. I just am curious about her time in prison, and I thought maybe some of you would be too. Coach Shah also did a video about it after the first blog entry. So anyway, I thought it would be kind of enjoyable for me to tell you about what she's been saying. It's always interesting to see what happens in prison. Ooh. Okay, so because I cover so much content in this video, and I know a lot of people's attention span's like 10 minutes, I'm going to put time codes below so you can come back, okay? And you can start, watch the rest of it when you're in the mood and know what it is. Oh, by the way, cult leader Mary Cosby is shooting season 4, for those of you who are wondering. She's shooting now. She's been seen shooting. Okay, so I'm going to play Coach Shah doing Jen Shah's first journal entry, and then I'm going to intermittently put some comments in that. And then I'm going to read the journal entry 2 for you, okay? And kind of give you my thoughts at the end of this video.
Hello, I am Jen Shah's husband, Sharif. I recently received my wife's first 2 journal entries. I will share one of those entries with you today. I recognize it has taken some time to get this entry and additional updates. And many of you have sent me emails asking, why is it taking so long, Coach? Well, here's the reason. In most federal facilities around the country, there are individuals that review every single email and physical letter that goes out of that facility as well as comes in. So understandably, it takes just a little time for inmates to send their correspondence, not only send it, but receive it. So we all have to practice just a little bit of patience now because it's just what it is.
In other words, don't worry. Jen is not taking your money. The blogs are coming.
I also need you to understand that it has taken my wife some time to actually put pen to paper. Initially, she had a very difficult time capturing a lot of her experience. I promised her that if she would write and finish her first journal entry, I would share it with you and those that she loved.
What else does she have to do? I'm so confused. And wasn't she dedicated to getting money for the victims, which is this blog site?
So here is Jen's first journal entry. 2 miles from Bryan Federal Prison Camp, I could not breathe. My hands went numb. I knew I was having an anxiety attack. I made Coach pull over because our reception was poor while driving and I was not able to FaceTime my oldest baby. We finally connected. I saw his face and I cried so hard until he reassured me that it would be okay. I didn't think I'd make it through today. It felt surreal as we drove to Bryan FPC, just minutes away from having to surrender. My worst fear and the unimaginable was about to happen. Having to say goodbye to my sweet husband and precious baby Omar. He'll always be my baby, even though he's a senior in high school. We approached the gates and were told to pull into a parking stall next to a white van. It all happened so fast. There was a guard waiting outside of the SUV, and 2 more officers approached. I leaned over to the seat next to me and hugged Omar as tight as I could and cried as I buried my head in his chest and held him as tight as I could, not wanting to face reality that this would be the last time I hugged him for a while.
Now, I don't want to be a jerk, but you're not really supposed to tell your loved ones how sad you are going off to prison if you care about their mental state. You're supposed to act like you're okay and together so they don't feel scared or afraid for you. She obviously didn't get that memo.
Sharif opened the back passenger door, and I turned to embrace him, hugging him as if holding him harder would somehow erase this horrible nightmare. I wanted to remember his face, his embrace, his smell, his touch. I held his face in both of my hands. As I looked into his eyes, tears streaming down my face, I told him he is the love of my life, and I love him more than anything. Having seconds to tell your husband how much you love him and hoping he truly understands the depths of your love while officers stand there silently urging you to move quickly was the most horrible experience. It's as if you know your world is ending and you have 30 seconds to tell the people you love how much you love them and hope they feel your love and understand its magnitude. Omar then walked to my side of the SUV. I pulled Omar into our embrace. As the 3 of us hug each other tightly, I pray, "Oh Allah, please protect my family. Please, Allah." As we hug and tears fall, we desperately clutch onto this last moment.
I thought I would be more sad during this part of the blog, but I wasn't, because I thought to myself, it sounds like the first time that Jen has really appreciated what she has had that was non-materialistic. And so maybe this was a moment of her really smelling the roses and getting what life is all about, which is a great thing, which is only, you know, the time you spend with your family and loving your family, and forget all the materialistic stuff. Listen, it takes some of us longer than others to figure this out. I know.
When suddenly the officer says, "Okay, let's go." As I make my way back to the SUV, the guard asked me, "What's in the plastic bag?" I read every federal website, including the Bryan FPC handbook, and all sources indicated that I need to have my essential items in a clear plastic bag when I surrendered. The officer looks at my plastic bag and lets me keep my papers that contain my prescriptions, my actual medications, my glasses and contacts, but he won't let me bring in my release plan, my contact list, my Quran, or driver's license. So I hand all of those items back to Sharif. The one thing that made me feel instantly isolated was not having my contact list. I didn't have the mental bandwidth to memorize my family and loved ones' emails, addresses, and phone numbers. I felt so alone.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people thought you don't have your family's numbers memorized going into prison. But to be fair, you know, as she said, it wasn't on any of the websites. So I hope you guys, if you ever go to prison, memorize your numbers. I really left this section in because it's kind of a PSA.
And my husband and son were only 2 steps away from me. The officer motions for us to begin walking into Bryan as 2 other officials inch toward us, also saying with their body language, "It's time to go." Omar quickly comes in front of me, and we hug one last time so tightly that I feel air pressing out of my lungs, and I cry even harder. Omar has been so strong through everything. As I look at his face, It's as if he's a little boy again, and he's finally letting the walls of strength down. The hurt, pain, and sadness in my baby boy's face is now completely transparent.
He's the real victim in all this. I hope Jen felt like real SHIT during that moment.
His eyes are saying, "Mama, please don't leave." I tell him I love him so much. I hug and kiss Sharif again, and as tears pour down my face, I walk away with the three officials. As I walk, I see Sharif and Omar watching me, both still crying. I say a prayer as I'm walking, asking for strength. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I approach a window outside of a building, and I'm asked, "What's my name and Bureau of Prisons identification number?" We then walk across the yard to open the doors where my reality now will be federal prison camp. I turn to get one last glance at my husband and son. I wave at them for the last time before I enter the doors. My entire body is numb. I feel like my life is ending. I am truly scared. I want to run back into my husband's arms because I know he will make this nightmare end. But this night terror is all too real. I feel physically sick. I feel like I don't belong here. I thought I could do this, but I've decided I can't. I want to go home right now, but I know that's impossible. Please, Allah, help me.
Never know who's listening.
Please. That's Jen's first journal entry. I just want to share a few things that my wife asked me to convey to you guys. Over the last 19 days, Jen has written extensively. I will receive her updates in a moment, and I will be able to share them with you. I need you to know that she's done the following. She's read 4 books from cover to cover, and now she's writing book reports. She has been assigned a job in the camp. She is starting to learn a new language. I don't know what language that is yet, so I'm excited to learn and hear it as well. I want to thank every single person that has sent an email or a letter to my wife. You will never know the joy and strength your words of encouragement have been. Over the last 19 days, I have cried every day, some days more than others. And I want you to know that my tears are not exclusively reserved for my family. My tears have also been for the victims who, through no fault of their own, have been irreparably damaged financially. I'm so deeply sorry. I know Jen will work endlessly to make things right. I am her husband, and I will be here through the good times and the bad, for better or for worse. See, because I know that God said this is my test as well. Again, thank you for your love and support, and God bless you.
Well, there was some tea in that last bit, which is why I left it in. Coach Shah is definitely not at this moment intending on leaving Jen Shah. A few people wondered about that, if he was going to stick by her side through this. It looks like he is. People are writing Jen with support at her prison. If you guys want to do that, you can. Coach Shah acknowledging the victims for what it's worth. I don't think it's worth much, but he does acknowledge them. So what do you guys think of that? I mean, it's definitely, you know, makes you feel sad for Jen and her family. But at the same time, you know, you're kind of like, well, it's prison. It's supposed to be a punishment. I think it's going to be way worse than Jen thinks. Jen Shah journal entry number 2, Breaking Bad. No, I'm kidding. That's not the name of the blog entry. Okay. So here we go. Kashana, whose nickname is Special K, which also happens to be a drug name, Special K, that people get high and do. So I'm not sure if she's named after ketamine or the cereal Special K. I wonder why that's her nickname. Anyway, she also surrendered with Jen Shah yesterday. And here we go. Kashana, whose nickname is Special K, also surrendered with me yesterday. We've kind of stuck together the first full day as we both walked in shocked, stunned, and scared, trying to figure out where we go from here. Yes, you make friends quick in prison, believe it or not, because you're bonded on the horrific experience of it all. Today is Saturday. There's a 6 a.m. brown bag breakfast brought into the common area of our unit. I was so tired and didn't wake up, but Special K got one for me. How thoughtful of her. She is kind, and there are not many kind people in this place. It had 1 piece of wheat bread, an apple, 2 packets of jelly, and a packet of instant oatmeal. Does anyone else feel like you shouldn't sleep through breakfast your first day in prison? I kind of do. But anyway, well, you'll see. She keeps the food so she can have a snack later. Anyway, I ate the piece of bread. A lady was offering instant coffee in the common area, but I didn't have a mug. I saved the apple and oatmeal packet in my locker since I don't go to the commissary until next Tuesday. If I get hungry, I at least have something to eat. It's a kind of a healthy breakfast, an apple, a piece of toast, and oatmeal. I mean, you're definitely going to get in shape in prison. I cried silently sitting on the top of my bunk bed last night, pretending to fall asleep reading a book. But in actuality, my chest was hurting as if my heart had broken in a million pieces. I laid in the dark alone with my thoughts of having to say goodbye to my family. You know, it sounds like the military to me, and there's a lot of guys and women that have to leave their families and go fight in war and live in these kind of, you know, situations. And I kind of feel like you're going to have to buck up, camper, you know? I laid in the dark alone with my thoughts of having to say goodbye to my family, to my sweet husband and boys. Sharif's face was seared in my thoughts, remembering Omar, tears as I hugged him tight. Sharif's Jr.'s face on FT as I said goodbye, FaceTime, from the SUV before arriving at Bryan FPC. Well, we heard a lot of that in the last, blog entry. As I stare into the dark, I think this has to be a dream, but here I am. I keep thinking, this is insane, completely ridiculous. Why am I here? I mean, I know why I'm here, but this just feels like someone like me doesn't belong here. But why? Why does it feel that way, I wonder? And who the hell do you think belongs in prison? I don't understand. That's a really telling line of her blog. Also, how'd she get top bunk? You have to be a badass to get top bunk. You can't be weepy over there. So something's weird about this story. I've never been in trouble before. I'm sure you've been in trouble before, but you've never been in prison before. Then I instantly stop myself from going down this self-destructive path of thinking. I'm here because of my bad decisions. I'm here because I did this to myself, and there's no one to blame but me. The pain and guilt I feel for creating victims, for doing this to my family, putting them through this ordeal the past 2.5 years, and their pain of having to watch me surrender yesterday and now the beginning of what will be a 78-month without me, is crushing my soul. Who knows? Maybe your family will thrive without you for a few years. I mean, I'm just saying, it's character building stuff to have something like this happen to you. Jen is about to have a character, and her family is going to get stronger from all of this, not weaker. And that's only because Coach Shah makes a damn good income and has a great career so he can provide for his children. Now, if his children didn't have another parent or had a parent that wasn't, taking care of them, then I would say she's absolutely correct, because that happens a lot with people who go to prison. But in her particular instance, not so much. I wake up to Special K nudging me saying, "Wake up, our pack numbers work." All right, I have to be a little funny in this video because otherwise this is really dark shit. Okay, I woke up to Special K nudging me saying, "Wake up, our pack numbers work." What? I immediately jump up, grab my glasses, and stumble off the top bunk. I look for my pack number paperwork and quickly go to the phone so Special K can show me how to activate my pack number. The only way I can make a telephone call to the outside world is by activating my pack number. Special K already had someone show her how to do it earlier in the morning. Oh my God, I want to like hire Special K. She's like serious. She's up for breakfast. She gets her pack number working. She's like the perfect friend. Business associate. Special K already had someone show her how to do it earlier that morning. My heart is racing. My hands are shaking. The thought of finally being able to call my husband and hear his voice is making my eyes water. I activate my pack number, record my voice greeting, and set up the few contacts I could remember in the computer. Because remember, she didn't memorize any of her family members' phone numbers. So she's got to she has barely anybody to call. You know, it's unfortunate that the prison system doesn't work like it should. And that is very hard for people in prison. You know, they have expectations that things are going to work like they do on the outside. But in prison, you know, they could say something is going to happen and then they can just not do it. It's just the way it goes. So anywho, Jen is struggling with this adjustment. But again, character building. You have to get through it somehow. You're going to have to strengthen up. And you notice she has to cry in the bathroom because if she shows weakness to her inmate friends, they could use it against her. Already, Special K has done 2 favors for Jen and could, at some point, if she turns on Jen, want payback on those favors. So I am going to cover this because I think we all can learn a lot from Jen's experience. And I think let's do it. Let's maximize the positivity in this negative experience. And I think also, you know, it's important for the victims to know what Jen is going through. I think it's going to give them some catharsis. Is that the word catharsism? Catharsis. And I think it's going to be cathartic for the victims that watch the, you know, video that want to know how Jen is doing in prison and stuff like that. I'm not sure she's ever really going to make the millions of dollars that she, you know, has to pay back. And so for the victims that haven't forgiven her, this might give them some peace. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And we can learn a lot. And maybe we can make improvements to the prison system through learning from Jen's blog site. I'm open. I think it's important to be open. And then for the people who have a dark side, they'll get off on the fact that Jen's suffering after her very wealthy lifestyle and that she took advantage of elderly. And there's that too. So you guys can also watch. All right, you guys, like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. I did a deep dive on Vanderpump Rules. It's in my bonus audio from today. It's why I haven't done a video on it yet. They get it first. But I will be dropping some of it on the YouTube once this week's episode airs.